200 million seedless watermelons will hit American stores this season. Not one of them came from a plant that can produce its own seed. That is 3.7 billion pounds of fruit from a species that is completely sterile. Getting there means chemically forcing a normal watermelon to double its chromosome count to 44, then crossing it back with the original, and the offspring, carrying an odd 33, can never divide its sex cells cleanly. It makes fruit. It makes no seed. But the plant still needs pollen to set fruit, and it has none of its own. So every seedless field has to carry 3 different crops at once. One line to make the seed, one line that exists only to give pollen, and the single line that actually produces anything sellable. A shopper sees convenience. A grower sees a bill. Because the plant can't seed itself, every reproductive step it skips gets pushed onto the farm. Triploid seed, a heat-locked nursery, dedicated pollinizer rows, hives rented by the season. Over 30 years, Seedless went from 10% of the shelf to 85%. That burden didn't add up acre by acre. It multiplied. No grower chose this system. It was chosen for them, 1,000 miles from any field. Retailers never issued a mandate. They simply stopped ordering seeded watermelons. In 1990, fewer than 10% of watermelons in American grocery chains were seedless. By 2024, that figure crossed 85%, and the 75-point swing didn't start with any agricultural decision. It started with a purchase spec. There was no middle option for growers. Keep the seeded variety, and you lose the shelf, and losing the shelf means losing the buyer. Converting was never an opportunity. It was the condition for staying in business. The seed in every commercial packet is a product of colchicine, and what that chemistry builds is a deliberate dead end. The plant fruits and leaves nothing behind. No grower can save a single seed from their own field. Each of those seeds runs 30 to 59 cents on US commercial catalogs, and because the embryo fills only about 80% of its coat, sowing it straight into open ground is a gamble nobody takes. So the entire industry starts in greenhouses, turning a commodity crop into a per-plant investment. Then comes the cost that never shows up as a line item. Because a triploid vine sets nothing without diploid pollen. For every 3 vines that sell, 1 has to be planted that never will. Roughly a quarter of every acre contributes 0 pounds to the total. Except before any of that pollen matters, the 59-cent seed has to survive at all, and it barely wants to germinate. Not a single seedless watermelon in America is sown directly into a field. All 200 million of them begin life in a temperature-locked room. The coat is too thick and the embryo too weak to break out in cool soil, so the seed is set into trays by vacuum precision seeder and held at 85 to 90 degrees until it breaks. Overwater once at that stage and more than half the batch is gone. At 59 cents a seed, a failed tray isn't a crop loss, it's a cash loss. The nursery also sets a second appointment. Transplants are field ready in 4 to 6 weeks, which means beds, drip tape, and mulch have to be finished before that. Because if the ground isn't ready when the plants are, every dollar sitting in that room is just sitting. One tractor pass does all 3, raising the bed, burying the drip line, laying the black plastic. Not to save time, but because the soil has to be warm before a triploid root touches it, and that root survives no cold shock. Seed that costs many times more, plus 6 weeks of nursery, plus plastic, plus drip line. 4 layers of cost stacked before a single transplant touches ground. Every dollar is now in the ground. The plant cannot pollinate itself. The harvest has to reach 200 million fruits. And the only thing with any control over what happens next is not a machine. It's 60,000 bees on a flatbed truck, and the farmer owns none of them. Every commercial acre of seedless watermelon in Florida, Georgia, and Texas runs on a contract that has nothing to do with soil or seed, a legally binding agreement with a beekeeper. Without it, there is no crop. Extension services in Georgia and Florida recommend 1 to 2 healthy colonies per acre, because a single triploid flower needs 16 to 24 bee visits to set fruit that makes grade, nearly double the threshold for seeded varieties, and a visit only counts if that bee came from the pollinizer row. That biology converts straight into money. Rental runs $200 to $250 per colony per season, so a 500-acre farm writes a check between $100,000 and $125,000 for pollination alone before any other input is counted. Colony collapse disorder has pushed that price 40% higher in a decade, shrinking the supply of healthy colonies exactly as every major fruit crop competes for the same hives. It's an inflation buried inside the cost of each fruit, and nothing on the label shows it. A grower today is paying for a decade of ecological collapse they had no hand in causing. Florida growers time each hive delivery to the hour. Flatbeds stacked with white boxes arriving before dawn, set along the triploid rows, while the female flowers are still closed, because each one opens for 3 to 4 days, and nothing in the forecast guarantees what happens inside that stretch. From the moment those boxes are set down, every dollar committed since the first seed order is fully on the table. No extension, no partial credit for coming close. 3 to 4 days. That is the entire window each female flower allows, and the whole bet lands inside it. Rain grounds the bees. Heat above 95 kills pollen viability before noon. Strong wind shears the stigma before a single grain can land. Any one of those inside that 72-hour stretch doesn't slow the process, it ends it. A triploid vine that misses that window doesn't push a second set. It sets nothing. The whole season for that plant, every dollar spent getting it into the ground, is decided in 3 days. One slow-moving storm across Florida's growing corridor in May can keep the bees grounded 4, 5, 6 days running. By the time the sky clears, every flower in those fields has already closed. A grower running 500 acres through that stretch doesn't absorb a reduced yield. They absorb 0. That's why large operations now put portable weather stations directly in the fields through pollination weeks, tracking dew point, wind speed, and temperature hour by hour. Because missing the window across 500 acres isn't a bad season. It's a total loss. Clearing those 3 days only means a watermelon exists. Getting a 10 to 20 pound mass off the vine without splitting rind, bruising flesh, or losing grade is a problem no chromosome science solves. No robot does this job. Not because the AI isn't smart enough, because physics won't allow it. Finite element research shows internal stress inside the flesh passes the 27 to 37 kilopascal damage threshold before a mechanical gripper reaches enough force to hold the fruit at all. The grip that prevents a drop and the force that bruises it are the same force. Robotic harvest prototypes were still confined to lab settings as of 2022, with no commercial system working in open fields, while billions of pounds still have to leave the ground every season, on a schedule that waits for nobody. So the only line that works isn't built from steel. It's built from people, strung along the row, bending, lifting a 20 to 60 pound mass, and throwing it hand to hand until the last one loads the truck. A full line runs 12 to 13 people, about 25 hands, and every melon passes through 6 to 10 pairs of them before it touches the truck bed. This isn't optional seasonal labor. In 2024, Florida filed 47,396 H2A positions and Georgia 43,436. The two states accounting for nearly a quarter of every position filed nationwide. And it's the fastest growing cost in the chain. UC Davis puts harvest labor at 30 to 40% of total production cost at $22.50 an hour going into the 2026 season. But what those hands deliver that no sensor replaces is knowing when to cut. A dried tendril, a flat ground spot, the low resonant thud of a knuckle. 3 cues an experienced picker reads in 2 seconds, and no commercial sensor has matched yet. Read it wrong by a day, and the field is gone. Read it right, and the second opponent starts. Rind temperatures under Florida sun run past 100 degrees, and every hour between the cut and the shade is an hour taken off shelf life. Getting off the field is only halfway. What waits at the other end is a machine that judges the entire investment in under a second, indifferent to the 3 crop types, indifferent to the bees, with no middle ground. The packing house is where biology stops mattering and geometry starts. Shape, weight, surface integrity. One question only: pass or cull? Fruit hits the receiving pit and drops straight into the pre-cooling tunnel. Not an amenity, but a race measured in minutes, because every degree of heat left in the core is a day cut off the other end of the chain. Once core temperature drops, the fruit enters the wash and cull line, the first point in the entire chain where a commercial decision gets made without a human hand. Cracked, misshapen, or underweight. Off the line in under a second. And a misshapen fruit almost always has the same cause. That flower never got enough bee visits. The machine doesn't create the problem. It just sends the invoice back to a pollination week 6 weeks gone. The AccuVision XL scans each fruit with HD multispectral cameras at 60,000 pounds per hour per line, roughly 3,000 fruits an hour against the USDA's 20-pound average. If that still sounds abstract, the Unitech Uni Big line handles 3 fruits per second. In the time it took to read that sentence, it sorted 9. Speed only matters if the standard holds, and USDA sets it precisely. Commercial weight between 10 and 34 pounds, no more than 10 mature seeds on a 4-section cut, a defect tolerance ceiling of 10 to 12% depending on grade. Fruit that survives moves to grading and packing, where optical systems read shape, color, and weight and push each one into the carton matched to its buyer. Major retail chains demand geometric tolerance under 5%. Food service takes more variation, but still enforces a minimum bricks floor. This is the one moment where the entire cost of 3 crop types, 6 weeks of nursery, and a rented bee season collapses into a single number: the per bin price the retailer pays. Packout swings widely with the season and with how well pollination went, and when it slips, the accumulated biological cost from seed to field stays exactly where it was, while revenue shrinks fruit by fruit. But there's one defect nothing on this line can catch. It's on the inside. Hollow heart, cracks that open inside the flesh, occurs almost exclusively in seedless fruit, and the primary cause isn't water and isn't fertilizer. It's a shortage of pollen. University of Delaware research found a flower needs roughly 500 pollen grains to set fruit at all, but closer to 1,000 to fill out solid. Which means the bees can do just enough work to create the fruit and still not enough to make it good. The distance to the pollinizer row shows up inside the flesh. At 6 feet, hollow heart runs 12%. At 14 feet, it climbs to 28%. The $1 million machine reads shape, color, weight, surface, but not the inside. The only certain way to know is to cut the melon open, and a cut melon has no buyer. so most of the invoice from Pollination Week never stops at the packing house gate. It goes home with someone. Finished pallets go straight into 50 to 60 degree storage, not to stop ripening, but to slow it long enough for the cold chain to work. A truck from Florida to Washington runs 18 to 24 hours, and every degree above spec inside the trailer is one less day on the shelf. Every cost in that chain eventually has to land somewhere, and in an industry built on a fruit that cannot reproduce itself, that somewhere is rarely the person who grew it. $4.99. The number on the shelf after an entire season built on 3 crop types, 6 weeks of nursery, and a rented bee operation. But the farmer never sees that number. They receive roughly 17 cents a pound per USDA 2020 farm gate data. The retailer keeps 29 to 38 cents a pound without planting a transplant, renting a hive, or carrying a single failed season. The cost side is steep, $300 to $590 per thousand seeds, plus 28 to 35 cents per transplant, plus hive rental, plus a quarter of the acreage surrendered to rows that never sell anything. After all of it, Seedless clears only 10 to 20% more than seeded at the farm gate. The rest of the premium dissolves into the distribution chain before it can reach the field. And there's no way back. 51% by 2003, past 85% by 2014, and per USDA ERS in July 2025, more than 90% of domestic watermelon shipments are now seedless. The seeded market to return to has effectively stopped existing. The system has no buffer. When the farm gate price drops to 10 cents a pound, as it did in 2016 and 2019 during oversupply, the triploid apparatus still runs at full cost. The grower's margin doesn't shrink, it disappears. That is the deepest paradox behind 200 million fruits a year. The most complex thing in the produce aisle is sold as the simplest, and the gap between those two is what the farmer carries alone. On that conveyor, there are no seeds, no trace of the tetraploid line, the rented hives, the quarter of the field given away. That is the selling point. That is also the problem.